before we get out of here at 6 o'clock. But keep the NBA and Kings talk going now. You can find this man's work over at The Athletic. I'm joined now by Jason Jones. Jason, how are you this afternoon, my man?
I'm doing all right, enjoying life and trying to get some work done, the usual adult type stuff.
You headed to Utah for All-Star Weekend, Jason?
No, I am not. And they're not sending me. And honestly, even if I did go, I'd probably leave on Saturday anyway.
Why is that? Why are you bailing early on All-Star Weekend if you get the chance to go?
Because by Sunday, you're usually worn out. And the game is so bad, you don't even care. And I've done my fair share of All-Star weekends, and usually by Saturday afternoon, evening, I'm like, I should just go home. I'm tired. and then as the late great Marty McNeil was always joke about, he said, and the worst thing about it is if you're covering the game and the guy you cover wins MVP.
Oh, it's a long night. It's a long night for you, though.
It's a long night, yeah. So I never had that, but I did have the one in L.A. that was Kobe's last MVP.
Oh, nice.
So it was kind of like, you know what? You got to kind of stick around for that because was that 2012, I think it was?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun weekend, but it's a very long weekend. It's usually in somewhere nice and cold. So, I've long been a proponent of the All-Star game should be like in L.A., Miami, New Orleans. I said, I get you want to get all the teams in the league, but yeah, it's not I think Cleveland, Salt Lake City, Indiana is not exactly where you want to be in February.
I think all your cohorts on the NBA beat would agree with you on that. Let's get into some of the basketball. First, let me just start with the Kings, and I think they've exceeded everybody's expectations, Jason, but by how much have they exceeded your expectations sitting at the 3 seed here heading into the All-Star break?
I wouldn't have bet money they'd be 3 going to the break. Far beyond what I expected them to be in that 6 to 10 range. Realistically, but yeah, they've exceeded expectations, but they've taken advantage of the situation. I mean, it's not their fault the teams had injuries and whatnot, but they've taken advantage of it. We've seen years in the past where similar things would happen. Teams are supposed to be ahead, then would have injuries. They would still be terrible still. So they don't owe anyone any apologies for where they are. I mean, they've played above their heads maybe a little bit, but I'm definitely surprised. And my only question becomes with Phoenix getting some help and some of the Clippers, maybe their player that's going to play all the games now. Who knows? Can the Kings stay in the top 6 and avoid what would be maybe what happened to Cleveland last year, where they were so good all year, they had a little bad luck with injuries, and all of a sudden they're in the play-in, and a team that had been basically top 5, 6 all year missed the playoffs altogether. So if you're the Kings, you got to try to stay in that top 6 and avoid that play-in.
Were you surprised that they stood pat and you just talked about it, all the teams around them, including Phoenix and the Lakers and Dallas, all these teams around them, all top 10 teams in the Western Conference, other than the Kings, did something to add to the roster. Were you surprised by that inactivity at the deadline?
No, just because I don't know if there was a move out there that made a lot of sense to disrupt what they've got. I've always said, if you're going to get a guy like Kevin Durant, of course you don't care, but
sure.
Are you going to, mess up your depth and everything just to get a guy who might be, an 8th, 9th man? I don't think so. I don't think there was even going to move the needle that much for them to where you would do all that. So I wasn't completely shocked, that they didn't make a major move to the deadline. And I think one thing Monty McNair has shown in the past is that if there's a move to be made, he'll make it. And they made a lot of moves in the offseason. They picked up Kevin Hurt. They had been making moves. So them standing pat at the deadline didn't absolutely shock me at all.
Who do you think helped themselves the most specifically in the Western Conference and their place in the play, not just in the standings in the playoff picture, but for what they can do in the postseason?
Phoenix got Kevin Durant.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess I would say other than Kevin Durant, who helped themselves the most. That's a dumb question. If I don't exclude Kevin Durant, I will receive that question.
when you start going down the rest, the crazy thing about it, I think the team that helped themselves the most, but it may not matter, is the Lakers. They were able, they completely revamped their roster, but they may not have enough time where it's going to matter. I mean, they turned Russell Westbrook into 3 players, which I don't think anyone thought they could do. But they really revamped things, and I think that if they could get in the playoffs, they could be a problem. But they're like 13th right now, so I can't even talk about them as a playoff team when they're 13th. But I think I like what they did. Like I said, but it's kind of hard to top, Kevin Durant. I would like the Warriors getting, GP2 back, but he's hurt. So I mean, there's just a lot of just different things. It felt like some teams have started making moves to make them. I'm like, I guess Luke Kennard could help Memphis. I'm not really sure what the Clippers are going to end up doing. We don't know where Russell Westbrook's going to end up. He might stay in the same building in LA. We don't know. So, I mean, it's so compact. I mean, we could talk 30 days from now, and the entire West could look entirely different.
Do you think this might fall into the category of dumb question as well? If everybody stays healthy, is there any way it doesn't work for Phoenix? Because at first, talking with Jason Jones of The Athletic here on Sacktown Sports, Cattles and Rami, I guess I didn't react when they traded for Kevin Durant, because I've been looking at Phoenix all year, kind of underachieving, and I guess they slipped off my radar. And then their first game, and that's even without Kevin Durant, but their first game after the trade with the return of Devin Booker, I saw what they looked like, and I started envisioning in my mind, like, oh God, they're adding Kevin Durant to this. And immediately I was like, this might be an unstoppable force here.
Yeah, and it's just like for them, it's going to be help, because I can't remember the last time he had a playoff run where Chris Paul wasn't hurt.
Right.
I mean, and Chris Paul's not young. KD's not young. So, so I think that in depth could hurt them. And I completely forgot that Kyrie Irving's on the Dallas Mavericks now. So I don't know what's going to happen with all this, because all these teams really, I think you saw so much action at the deadline, because outside of Denver, there really isn't a team in the West where I go, they'll probably win their first round series for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you told me the second, third, and fourth seeds in the West would all lose their first round series, I could see that. It wouldn't shock me. Just because this thing is so crazy. It's just, I mean, I haven't looked at the standings in the last 10 minutes, but if the Kings drew Dallas in the first round, would anyone be like, oh my God, there's no way the Kings could lose to Dallas? No. If a team draws New Orleans and they're healthy, I don't know if anyone would be shocked if New Orleans won a series. I just think it's going to be insane in the playoffs.
Can't wait.
So we still got to get there though, so we don't know if it's going to be. It's going to be insane.
Hopefully the Kings will be there, and there will be more to talk about with you. That's Jason Jones. Find his work at The Athletic, on Twitter at Mr._Jason Jones, and also check out the Ruler of the Court podcast. Jason, really appreciate the time and the insight, my man. Thank you.
No problem. Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Jason Jones joins us on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. All guests come on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.